Hey, welcome to Module 3, Lesson 11, Video 1. And we are on number 1, so please go there now in your Learn book. And you can see that we have 3 different clues and a multiplication expression, and these are all related. So I want you to take 1 minute and try to figure out what goes in the blanks using the clues together, okay? Just 1 minute. Go ahead and work on that. Okay, and that's about a minute. So you could see that I started filling in some things. I hope you are filling in some things too. What I was thinking about is how we have 15 here, 15 pieces, but we're using 8 of them. So 4 times 2 is 8, and 5 times 3 is 15. So then also here, 1/5 times 1/3 would be 1/15, and 4 times 2 would be 8, which would make 8/15. So let's think about our multiplication expression. I'm thinking about something that's going to equal 8/15. And we're looking at our area model here, and we want it to match the area model. We could see that we have 5 sections here. So this is 4/5. And like I usually say, this would be colored in. The orange is just the overlap, right? So that's 4/15. I'm sorry, that is 4/5. 4/5. And then this way we have thirds. And of course, that would be colored in as well, our 2/3. But we're only using the overlap, the 8. So 2/3 times 4/5 is 8/15. All right. And we want to make sure that we're matching all of the clues there to make them all work. So there we go. And we're today going to be multiplying fractions and reasoning about the size of the product. So we've been talking about this for a little while. We're reasoning, we're thinking, well, what does that fraction mean as far as the size? Okay. And we're going to be looking at a couple of fractions right here. You can see, I'll make it a little bit bigger for you. 1/4 as much as 3/5. Well, 1/4 as much means 1/4 times 3/5, right? It's just the same as if you said 1/2 as much as 24. That would be 1/2 times 24. Or 2 times as much as 4. That would be 2 times 4. So 1/4 as much as 3/5, 2 times 3/5. And I'm sorry, 1/4 times 3/5. So 1/4 is less than 1, right? So I'm thinking that 1/4 times 3/5 is going to be 3/20. Pretty small, less than 1, right? What if we had 4/4 as much as 3/5? 4/4. Now you might recognize that 4/4 is the same as 1. So that would be 12/20. Multiplying 3/5 times 1, we have equivalent fractions. So 3/5 and 12/20 are actually equal to each other because we're multiplying by 1. And it's also less than 1. So 7/4 as much as 3/5, or 7/4 times 3/5. Look at 7/4. It's more than 1. So our fractions are getting bigger when we're multiplying by bigger things. Do you notice that? So if I'm multiplying by a small fraction, my answer might be a small fraction depending on my second fraction. But if it's the same fraction, right, we're looking at 3/5, 3/5, 3/5. So this one is less. This one is equal to 3/5. This one is going to be more than 3/5 because I'm multiplying by more than 1, right? Because 7/4, 4/4 is 1. 8/4 would be 2. So this is almost 2. So if we multiply that across, that would be 21/20, which is equal to 1 and 1/20. Sorry, 1/20, right? So a little bit more than 1. And we see how it's getting bigger each time the fraction that we're multiplying by it is getting bigger as well. Okay, so let's look at these. 3/5. Now 4/5 is the one that's staying the same. And we have 3/5 of 4/5. Here we have 5/5 of 4/5. And here we have 6/5 of 4/5. So when we multiply a number by a fraction less than 1, the product is going to be less, right? So this product is going to be less than 4/5 because we're making it smaller, right? We're multiplying by one that's equal to 1. This one's going to be equal to 4/5. And if we're multiplying by one that's greater than 1, this one's going to be larger than 4/5. Do you see how that works? Right? So that's helping us to start to understand, to reason about the sizes of these as we go. All right, nice job. Let's look at the next slide here. Okay, and this is going to be number 2 in your book. And just read over it and think about what you see there. Mrs. Chan has 4 gallons of paint. She uses 1/3 of it to paint her bedroom. She uses 3/4 of the remaining paint for her living room. What fraction of paint does Miss Chan use for her living room? Okay, so let's think about that. What information do we have? Let's highlight some information that we have. She has 4 gallons of paint. She uses 1/3 to paint her bedroom. 3/4 of the remaining. Okay, and that's for her living room. And that's the question, is how much does she use for her living room? We always want to make sure we know what our question is, right? Okay, so this is an interesting problem because we have this remaining part, right? So that means she uses 3/4 of what is left over, right? So we have to think about that a little bit. And can we draw something? What could we draw? Let's grab a shape here and let's make a tape diagram. Okay, and oh, that doesn't belong there. And our tape diagram is representing what? It is representing the total amount of paint that she has, which is 4 gallons, right? So 4 gallons, there's her total amount of paint. And she uses 1/3 of it to paint her bedroom. So we can break it into 3 parts. And this is the bedroom, right? I'm just going to put B for bedroom. And we can do this thing where we're going to partition the remaining, right? We know that she uses 3/4 of what's left over. Okay, so let's make this into fourths. And now we can see 3 of those fourths is going to be the living room, right? Now, since we made these into fourths, let's also make this one, right? All of our thirds are broken into parts now, okay? And we can see that they're sixths, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So she really used 2/6 of the 4 gallons in the bedroom. And then 1, 2, 3, 3/6 of the 4 gallons in the living room. Okay? So think about what equation you're going to use to find out what fraction of the paint she used for her living room. I think we could say she uses 3/6 of the paint to paint her living room. They're not asking about the 4 gallons. They're just asking what fraction of the paint. So I think we can go ahead and write our sentence right there. It's a little bit easier than I thought it was going to be, which I would say sometimes happens with math problems. They look more complicated, but then when you actually do them, you're like, wow. And this breaking into more parts, right? This is what we're doing in fractions, where we're saying we have thirds, but now we're breaking them into sixths. Okay. So, Mrs. Chan, I'm just writing this where I have space, but of course you can write it anywhere you need to, uses 3/6 of the paint in the living room. Yeah. Okay. Nice job. Thanks for all your hard work. I'll see you in the next video. Aloha.